Welcome, Chris Evans TV. We are back with Little Dave, and today we are going to dig into comment section. So it's a question I kind of threw at him this morning, and I said, man, I was like, something that has been on my mind recently is, in our world, or honestly, any section of the universe that posts on social media, there's always going to be some form of negative comments, and it always comes down to the question to me is, do you lean into it and respond back to these people? Or do you just ignore it and take the high road? Or a third option is, do you even read the comments? So I'll let you start, Dave. What do you think there?
Sometimes it depends.
Right. Yes. Okay. Of course it can
You know,
depend. Yes.
if you never really get that. Most of the times, I'm like, we all know this. This is like you're not going to get a negative comment from someone who's above you,
Yes. Agreed.
right? They're going to tell you. They might give you some advice, but they're not going to be like, "Hey, dumb fuck, you don't know what you're talking about." They're going to be like, "This might work better."
Yep.
In reality,
Yep.
obviously, you might get a little bit of that at the beginning, but if someone knows more than you or better or has a better understanding of a subject, generally speaking, they're going to come at you from a point of knowledge,
Yes.
not a point of violence, right? Versus the opposite on that, right? If someone's coming at you from a point of anger, where's that stemming from? So it's kind of like it can be kind of funny because like sometimes like I've forever ago, I think someone responded to one of my. I just posted a video. This is like when me and Zach first started training together, and it was just me going to town on a incline barbell. And he just like messaged me. He was like, "Where do you get your what is your off season cycle like?" And I thought it was really funny because I was on TRT.
Right.
So I legitimately just I made an entire fucking series out of it. Like I was like, "How about you do all of these things first?" You know what I mean? Like I was kind of a dick about it,
Right.
but at the same time, I wasn't like I could tell you what my cycle would be. I have like if you legitimately asked, you're wondering, I'd probably tell you. But like, it also the context matters. Like me posting a training video has nothing to do with steroids.
No, not one bit.
So it's kind of comical. It's like obviously this work precedes the other work.
Yep.
And like sometimes like I love comments like that where they might want to actually take something from it. But if it's just something negative, like like I'm a bald meathead, cool. I'm just gonna. I felt like I might even like that. I'll just, thanks for watching. You obviously probably are something similar. Where these insecurities come from. Let's look up your profile. Oh, look, this guy's also balding, but he's not Jack. I know why you're angry.
It's really interesting. I posted that online that, someone called me a roided out meathead, or I can't even remember at this point what it was. I posted
Yeah.
God, what was it? It was actually he was trying to cut me down, and I'm like, thanks, bro.
Yeah.
Like I think it was in 2019, John and I shot a leg day at Elite, and on the comment in the video, someone was like, look at their roid faces, jokers, right? And I commented down there and was like, thanks a lot, man. Greatly appreciated.
Yeah.
I think at that time, that was the first time like someone had ever openly accused me of steroids on the internet. So
Yeah.
I took it as a compliment. And of course, like John and Noah, the next day we went to film, like we're laughing. They're like, cannot believe you responded to that guy. I'm like, oh, I thought he was complimenting me. They're like, no.
That's funny. It was like I think that was a Dusty Hanshaw. Someone called him gross.
Oh, right.
And he was like, I didn't know how to respond to that. I was like, I don't know if I should write them a letter or like a long email thanking them because this is what I wanted.
Right. Like,
Yeah.
someone just called me unathletic the other day. And I was like, in what space did I ever say I was an athlete?
Yeah.
Like, fuck. That was many pounds ago.
Yeah.
Like, it's really interesting, right? Because I think anytime I'd especially make posts where I bang on scientists and small victim weight kids, right? Like,
Yeah.
I get it because I was once there, and I remember thinking to myself, like, oh man, I have all the knowledge.
Mhm.
because we did. Like, I think you and I both can say that when we were smaller than what most people would consider big in our world, like we had the knowledge of how to help people,
Yeah.
but we didn't have the muscle yet. So I think the difference is where I wasn't going to go around telling everyone how smart I was. I was just going to apply it to clients and say, eventually it's going to happen. And
Yeah.
I'll be able to say, rightfully speak in that crowd. Where I
Yeah.
think today social media has given a platform to these people to say, oh, well, I'm smarter than him. That muscle doesn't matter. They got
Yeah.
there because of steroids, where, you and I both know, and I just made a post about this. Steroids doesn't make us eat our meals, doesn't make us train hard. It doesn't make us stay consistent, and it definitely doesn't make us sacrifice all the things we have to sacrifice in life to achieve the way we look now and the way we want to
Yeah.
look in the future.
Yeah.
And it for you and I, it wasn't a fast process. It
Yeah.
wasn't we woke up one day and looked like Phil Heath, or like Phil Heath did in college, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
Like you look at that dude and you're like, oh, okay, he's meant to have muscle.
It's like the photo Flex Lewis was posted of him in when he was, before he was playing rugby.
Right.
Dude already has cap delts.
Right. Yeah.
Like, there's a reason why he's Flex Lewis. He
The
took that
first
and ran
time,
with that.
right. I always go back to this, right? All those dudes who are winning Olympias, they're like, the first time I went in the gym, everyone tried to get me to compete. That wasn't you or I.
Yeah.
We went and trained, and they're like, what are they doing here?
Yeah.
And I think now, and I'll speak about the comment section, like, right, like, I think probably the biggest cut down you could have given me 5 years ago was to accuse me of being natural, right? Like, oh, what
Yeah.
are you still? Like, if someone really wanted to fuck with me, right? They could have said that, and I'd have felt insecure about it. But at this point in my life, like I'm not a moron. Like, no, I'm not. I sure as hell don't look like Nick Walker, so don't get it to my words twisted. But I know that both you and I are bigger than 99% of people on the planet. Like, it's just the truth. And it's funny now to like look at the how to me like the comment section has flipped on anytime one of my videos does well. It's always just like fucking roid rage meathead. They have no context of anything other than seeing a 5-second Instagram clip of honestly me trying to be funny. Like when I made that reel that has over 1.5 million views, it was like all that work and what did it get me? And I listed everything that I have, and I'm like, yeah, it's still people listen to teeny influencers. Like that's me making fun of myself.
Yeah.
Like, hey,
Yeah.
Chris, you have all this knowledge and all this muscle and all these people you've helped, and yet these motherfuckers are going to listen to 170-pound influencer over me. Like, I'm literally poking fun of myself.
Yeah.
And these morons think that I'm making fun of other people. Right. So, of course, like you said, I'll let some of them like go because I'm like, it's not worth it. But then it's sometimes like I'll be sitting my computer and see a stupid message come through, and I'll just like fire back, right? Like, you want to call me a meathead? Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks. I remember what it was looking like that when I looked like that in middle school. Like,
Yeah.
and I think what you said is huge, right? Is those comments always come from a place of insecurity. And it's like, oh, well, you can't go on my page and call me fat, and you definitely can't call me small anymore. So what am I going to do? I still have decent hair, so it isn't like you can say that. Oh, you can beat on my face because it's red. Oh, awesome! I have rosacea. Thanks. I chose that. Fuck off. Right?
Yeah.
You know. So it's pretty common when you look at that, and I think back to I saw this Rob Bailey post a long time ago, maybe it's a couple years ago, where he said, "How pathetic and insecure is your life to where you had to type a 3-section paragraph to just belittle someone?
Yeah.
Like, clearly your life is horrible, bro." And it's true, right? I mean, you do you feel the same way?
Oh yeah. Yeah, exactly. There's not many times where it's like I'm even gonna open my mouth.
Yes.
It's like A, I'm not getting paid for this,
Mhm.
and B, like, what's the point?
Correct.
There's plenty of time. Like, if there's times in like the gym where I might see something going like wonky,
Mhm.
and the person might be open towards some advice.
Yes.
I might actually say something.
Mhm.
But a lot of times, like in real life, like that's a great study. I mean, like if you walk down the street and if you told someone like, "Hey, ask," like you're like, "Hey, you look like a roided out freak." No one's gonna tell me that in fucking public,
No.
right?
No.
They're gonna get punched in the fucking face.
Right.
You know, it's one of those things that just won't happen. You
Right.
know,
Yep.
and it, it's one of those things. A lot of people just don't like even realize that because they're just from a wall of they have their Wi-Fi protecting them because that's you don't know where they're coming from or they're on a you know private whatever their burner account or whatever
Mhm.
or they're just poking the bear. Like a lot of the times, like if you really wanted to do something, like you could either text me, and if you don't have my number, who the fuck cares?
Yep.
You know,
Mhm.
and that's that's kind of how I go about with Instagram land. But like a lot of the times, if I am commenting on someone's shit, it's probably because it's either going to be positive.
Yes.
Because the amount of negativity you keep in your life is what you're going to keep in your life. Like, there's no point in like if someone else is does something stupid, like how does that affect me?
Yep. And
Like,
I'll
and
tell you
if
this,
like
like,
if it's like a client of mine, I'm going to point it out to them, and I'm probably going to do it in private.
yes. Okay, so the amount of times, and I'm sure you're the same way as me, if a client tags me in a set of training or something, and I see something drastically wrong or even minorly wrong, I will
Yeah,
not post that in the comments.
yeah,
I'll literally privately message them or shoot them an email.
yeah,
I'm like, hey, I need you to fix your depth, slow the negative, pause on the bottom, remove the stretch reflex, fill in the blank, right? Or, hey, lower that seat 3 inches. It'll get your chest a lot better, I promise. Or,
yeah,
hey, on the calf raise, stop bouncing out of that hole, bro. Like, come down, let it stretch, then up. Because I'm not trying to publicly shame them. I'm not trying to be like, oh, I have more knowledge than you. That set was terrible. Or I'm sure as hell not going to say, you have 5 more reps in the tank.
yeah,
Even though it's true, I'm still going to voice that, but I'm sure as hell not going to do it on a public space
yeah,
where that comment will begin to get likes or people will bandwagon and be like, oh, look, even your coach thinks that was shit. Like, not even going to open myself up to that or put the client through that. Like, because 9 out of 10, like, think about this. If we post a set, if we post progress photos, it's because we're proud of them. You know, if we took shit photos of you, neither of us are posting them.
yeah,
We may keep that photo and post it beside something when it does look good and be like, hey, this was 3 days ago and this is today.
yeah,
Like, because for the most part, I don't get I wouldn't get the reasoning behind posting something that you aren't proud of,
yeah,
or maybe you're saying, hey, this is where I'm starting from. It's shit, it's fat, like, or it's a terrible set, or it's weak. Like, I can get that. But for the most part, I think that's also why I always laugh when I don't know about you, but this is a pet peeve of mine. If when competitors will say, like, they'll post their photos and then it's all these like list of I've done 2 hours of cardio, flat as a pancake, you know, all the stereotypical bodybuilder shit, right? I'm like,
yeah,
hold on. If you hated these pictures, you wouldn't have posted them.
yeah,
So just let it ride out, bro. Like, we get it. You're dieting for a show. Maybe you are flat. Maybe you are on low carb. Maybe you do have high cardio. We all know.
right, yeah, exactly. It's not a pity party, right? Like sometimes it gets on my wheels. Like I don't know how many times. Like that's probably my biggest pet peeve on social media
Right.
is people doing their fucking cardio check-ins with their coach. Like, look, I'm doing cardio. I was like, why the fuck would you post that to me? Like, you're supposed to be doing that.
Right.
Like, cool. Maybe like if you posted about like cool, like every cardio machine in the gym was broken. So I went and made one
Mhm.
using scraps from Home Depot to do my fucking hit cardio. Cool, I'd fucking like that. But like, oh cool, you hopped on a stairmaster, like you just got on it, you know? Like you could post the after, like if that stairmaster is soaking wet, fuck, that's dope.
Yes.
But like, it's like I've never understood that one drives me up a wall.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 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 Or even if you like took a picture of your quads or hamstrings or calves after cardio and like veiny as hell, it's like, hell yeah, you worked that
Yeah,
motherfucker. I get it. Yeah.
yeah,
Awesome. But congratulations on doing what I asked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that's almost like that low-hanging fruit where it's like, I refuse to Planet Fitness praise you, you know,
Yeah.
or that, God, I think I've told this to you before, like on the building of our goals, it was showing up as half the battle. Like, it's not half in my opinion. That's it's not half. Fuck off.
Right? Now, you're gonna get fired if you only go to work and show up.
Yeah. Yeah, can you imagine going into your boss's office for a performance appraisal and you're like, well, I've showed up every day. Yeah, but you didn't do shit.
Yeah.
I watched Chris and Dave on Instagram all day. That doesn't count? No, you didn't do any work. Oh man, I guess to bring this back into like comment section, because I think I saw Joe Rogan talk about this once. He was like, "Man, I don't even look at the comment section." But I mean, I think when you're over a million or so followers, I get that. Like that's a waste of your time,
Yeah.
not even remotely valuable.
Yeah.
But I don't believe that any portion of his social media he didn't look at those. Or if
Oh
you
no.
just see a notification, or if one of your buddies like, "Hey, did you see so and so commented on your shit?" Like I think it's human nature to look, right? And
Yeah.
if you're mildly proud of what you're doing, you almost want to punch back. Like, motherfucker, you know where I came from? Like, you have no clue what I had to go through to get here. And let's say you're one of the martyr, holier than thou, white knight natties, right? Who think they're better than us. How are you going to shame another adult for choosing his path?
Yeah. It's one of those comical things. It's just you're exactly right. Like who's getting better here?
Right. Right.
You
I
know?
mean, I will argue this until I'm blue in the face. If I was a great natural bodybuilder, and let's just use Doug Miller as an example, if that's me, and I know some people might say, oh, he's not, but let's just say he is. Why in the world would you not want to take that ride and see if you could be the best in the world? Like, it's just me being brutally honest.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you feel the same way. Like, why in the world do I not want to see what's on the other side of that door? Like, I'm too fucking curious. You know,
Yeah.
now I'm not saying I'm going to go out there and do it reckless, but I'm going to do it intelligently and patient and, the right way in our minds and see what it's about. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm sure I'm not going to shame another man for choosing his path or woman, fill in the blank, because I think women's body modeling catches a lot of hate, right? And they're like,
Yeah.
look, that's gross. Well, maybe not to them, maybe not to their husband or spouse or whatever. Like, listen, I'm sure you've seen this. There's men who worship those women.
Yeah.
Worship. So, you know,
Well,
it's wild to me because I've always felt like this, like in this world, there's someone for everyone.
yeah.
I think I've said this before when we had my wife and your girlfriend on, like takes a very specific taste to date you and I. But
Yeah.
clearly there's two women out there for us.
Yeah. Yeah. Very clearly, right?
Not saying I'm everyone's cup of tea, but I'm someone's.
Yeah.
I used to train a dude who was a fucking vampire who lived in a coffin. He had a girlfriend who was into it.
Yeah.
Listen, there's someone for everyone. I always would joke, I'm like, man, if you can find someone, dude, I have no worries. Fuck. The side tangent there. Um,
Yeah.
but it's that to me is what's very, very interesting. Is like we chose our path. Yes, we know
Yeah.
that we're not normal. I pride myself on that shit. Like
Yeah.
that is a badge of honor for me. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to wake up one day and just be like, oh, I fit in, great. Stupid. Like that I'm about chasing something higher. And for now, for me, that's seeing how absolutely giant I can make my body.
Yeah.
Eventually the day will come where I don't do that, as I'm sure you'll have that same day. Like,
Yeah.
but until then, who gives a fuck? Like,
Yeah. Actually, just posted that on my story. What's his name? I can't remember his name. Powerlifter.
mhm.
But he posted on his things like maybe the reason you're not getting better is because you believe that benching 225 puts you in the 1% population. It's like stop comparing yourself to people who do not give a shit.
Right. Yes.
Like, oh, cool, I can bench 225, so I'm better than I'm in the 1% of people who can do that. It's like, well, no shit. Well, some people don't even have electricity. Like obviously, but like if you compare yourself to someone who's not even competing, like obviously you're going to be a good bodybuilder.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if you compare yourself to, let's say, Phil Heath,
Mhm.
you that's the kind of thing is you got to find a bigger pool to go swim in.
Yes.
If you
Yep.
want to get better, you have to hold yourself to a different standard.
Yes.
You can't hold yourself to the standard of everybody else.
Mhm.
Like you need to be the weird one.
Yes.
Like you're not going to make progress if you don't eat your food. And if you go somewhere and you're like, oh, cool, I didn't bring my food. What's there to eat? All right, we got pizza and we have a meat. You don't even have protein. It's like, oh, cool. How am I piece of like, no, you're not.
Right.
You're either not. You're either gonna eat that shit or you're gonna miss a meal.
Mhm.
And neither one of those takes you in the step of being a better bodybuilder.
Right.
Takes you in the step of being closer to being someone else who's not.
Yes. Yep.
It's that simple.
Mhm. Yep.
At the end of the day, like, yes, you might have to be the weird one. You might be that one who has to say no to going out at night or no to, certain foods. But you're the one who gets to say yes to bodybuilding,
Yep.
you know? And it's so backwards. We live in a society now, just like they almost criminalize having a goal.
Yes. Yep.
Oh, you can't do that because of bodybuilding. You can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do that. It's like, well, I can do this, and this is what I want to do.
Mhm. Yep.
Right? So many people they put all these limiting factors on themselves because they're like, oh, if you're bodybuilding, you can't do this. It's like, I'm pretty sure we can. Like, I had a girl break up with me because I couldn't go boating because I was a bodybuilder. I couldn't go bodybuilding. I couldn't bodybuild. It's like, how does this even fucking make sense?
Right. Right. Right.
Like, I'm not gonna be on this boat for the rest of my fucking life.
You're never getting off.
like, like, cool. I can bring some meals with me on the boat. I can eat those things. Like, I don't have to eat shit food just because I'm on a boat.
Correct. Right.
Right? Oh, it's weird. A lot of lakes happen to have people with money on them. People with money happen to own gyms. There's probably a gym nearby.
Yep.
I fuck.
Something I always struggle with, right, is anytime I have a client that tells me something along those lines, I'm like, the next time you go in those situations, notice how what you eat doesn't impact anyone else,
No.
but they'll act like it does. And I'll always use this reference. Everyone's like, oh, well, you're not eating what we all do. Okay, if you and I went to an Outback Steakhouse with our entire family, everyone at the table would order something different. No one bats a fucking eye. If you and I ordered a plain steak, plain baked potato, and salad, no one would give a fuck.
Yeah.
But the moment we whip out a Tupperware dish with that in it, we're suddenly outcast, and in their mind, everybody else's meal's ruined. Why? You aren't impacted.
Yeah.
Fun fact: we don't care what you eat. We just care what we
Yeah.
eat.
Yeah. Actually, really funny story. So my friend, she had a it was a wedding. It was a wedding, like
Mhm.
a engagement party or whatever.
Yeah.
And I knew the caterers,
Mhm.
and I legitimately gave them my Tupperware behind the curtain,
Uh-huh.
and they served us food, and my plate had my fucking Tupperware in it. Like
Oh
they
yeah.
legitimately took my Tupperware and just dumped it onto the plate.
Oh yeah.
Not a single soul said anything until the person across the way from me is like, "That wasn't on the menu." There was like two items on the menu, but I was already like cruising through my like my chicken and I think it was just chicken and avocado oil and like some asparagus, right?
Okay. Yep.
And because I was definitely in prep for that, and
Right.
like the things on the menu were like salmon and like halibut, so
Right.
it was like super fancy. And then like I had asparagus and chicken. Not a single person even thought about it, dude.
Yeah.
Until like he was like, "Wait, what? How'd you order that?" But like if I just ate it out of the Tupperware, they would have flipped the fuck out.
Correct. Yes.
But like in reality, they probably wouldn't.
Mm-mm. No.
They would have been like, "Yeah, that makes sense for Dave." You know, but
Correct.
it's the almost like with all those things when it comes to those choices,
Mm.
people are more concerned with what people are going to think about them
Yes. Yep.
You know, like we deal with it all the time. How many times have you seen someone like some crazy ass homeless dude walking down the street? Where, dude, there's a guy in downtown Salt Lake who dresses up like a wizard.
Right.
I see him and I'm like, that's fucking weird. And then it never crosses my mind again,
Right.
you
Yep.
know?
Yep.
And that one's super outlandish, so I kind of remember it better. But like random things you see at the street, like you go to Starbucks and someone's dressed like a hooligan, like you mean like that's strange. But then it never comes up again. Like that's all that is.
Yep.
People are gonna view you're eating your meal the same way.
Mhm.
It's not gonna affect them.
You know, I will go to my grave saying this too. The moment, so Angela and I have only been together with me as a bodybuilder.
Yeah,
So the last 16 years of my life with her. Every interaction with her family, I've always eaten on my plan.
yeah,
And what's funny is there's no deterring from that. So they don't even, after the first year, they never questioned it. It was always like, "Do you bring your food? Yes, sir. Did you eat on the way up here? Yes, sir." Like, simple as that. And it's not badgering, it's not beating me up. Because I think the problem with so many people they have is like when they make that switch to prep to off season and then off season to prep is in the off season they'll eat with their family and that kind of shit and not like regularly. And then it's a big deal. Why
yeah,
isn't Chris eating with us today? Well, he's in prep now. Oh God, stay away from me. He's so angry. Like, guess what? If you just always follow the plan, that's just you.
yeah,
That's Chris. He has his food. His next 5 meals are all in his bag. And
yeah,
they don't bat a fucking eye.
yeah,
It's as simple as that.
yeah. Well, and then it's also things like, dude, I've been on prep for over Thanksgiving and Christmas multiple times.
Yep.
And I can tell you what, I've legitimately brought a food scale with me. And well, at least in my family, like we usually have food in the other room and we serve it and go eat and go back
Okay,
and
yeah.
forth or whatever if we want to. We
Right.
kind of do it like buffet style. And I know that, right? That's something I know.
Right.
So you know how hard it is for me to just toss a food scale over there in the other room? All right, cool. So this meal is gonna be 8 ounces of turkey and rice.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I'll just weigh it and I'll eat it with my family,
Yep.
you know, and no one bad. They know they obviously know I'm a bodybuilder,
Yes.
right? And it's that simple. You know, it's like, cool, like this is what I get. Like
Yep.
it might just be fucking, you know, regular ass green beans, not green bean casserole,
Yep.
and plain chicken.
Yes.
But they care more about me being there than what I'm eating.
Correct. Yes. Yep. That's one of the reasons why we tend to always host every family gathering. Because guess what? I control that grill.
Yeah,
Like you said, it's my kitchen, my food scale. I can make everything on my plan, and they don't know
yeah,
because it tastes good, right?
yeah,
Like they're always like, "Man, what was that?" And I'm like, "Oh, just filet, man, with a potato." All and yours wasn't measured, but mine was.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
wow.
exactly.
Yep. I didn't put any oil on it. I didn't put any butter and shit. Like all of it's on plan. I ate with you guys, and no one knew that I was 8 weeks out from a bodybuilding show unless they asked.
Yeah,
Simple as that.
yeah,
Shock.
yeah,
Now, I'm if we made brownies for everyone, I'm just not going to eat that.
yeah,
But and no one will pay attention to that. Like, oh, you don't want any dessert? No, I'm good. Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
In my opinion, I think your family is really only get mad at you is every time the opposite happens, right? When someone pulls out brownies, you're like, oh man, I'm 8 weeks out, I can't have this.
Right.
It's like stop being a bitch and just say no.
Yes. Right.
Like shit, if you can't say no to a brownie for 8 weeks, like pick up bowling,
Correct. Yeah,
you know.
it just goes back
And
to
if you have to, it's because they make a deal, and that's what pisses your family off. Is what you
yes.
make a huge deal about. Oh, I'm on prep, I can't do that. Oh, I'm on prep. It's like that's why they hate you being in prep. It's because you're an asshole.
Yep. I was with a client at one of his family gatherings once, and he did that. And I said, "You can have those brownies. I don't give a fuck." And he's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, quit bodybuilding. I don't give a shit. You choose."
Yeah,
And I said exactly what you said. I said, "You notice when they asked me if I wanted any, I just said no, thank you." And no one cared.
yeah,
Maybe I don't like chocolate. Maybe I have a gluten allergy. Or maybe I just have a goal.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
and when they all left, like and we were just shooting the shit. And he's like, man, he's like, that was a powerful moment. I was like, yeah, I was like, you choose this. They don't. Like, they're along for the ride.
Yeah.
Don't make them miserable because you choose to be. I was
Yeah.
like, it's as easy as just turning it down. I mean, man, when I used to work at Gold's, like anytime we'd have a staff meeting, there's always donuts and shit there. There's always
Yep.
garbage.
Yep.
All the other trainers would be eating that. And me and my buddy who worked there, like we'd be eating our Tupperware. No
Yep.
one cared. They might make a comment like, don't watch me eat these donuts. I'm like, don't give a fuck. Have the whole dozen.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's exactly because I'm doing this for me. I'm not doing this for social media. I'm not doing this for my girlfriend.
No.
I'm doing this for me. Like, and that's plain and simple it, right? And that's where I, honest to God, like, if you ever like are all those scenarios on people being like, "Ah, man, you're a different person when you prep," it's because of that.
Yeah.
You know, it's because you're allowing the obstacles you gave yourself to become a burden on other people,
Yeah. Yep.
and they don't like that. They don't like picking up the slack,
Right.
right? If you're gonna be the asshole, be like, "Oh man, sorry, XYZ, I can't unload the dishwasher because cardio was too hard."
Right.
Your wife or girlfriend's gonna hate you.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
just you being. That's honestly just you just being a little bitch about things.
Yes.
You can't unload the dishwasher because cardio was too hard. Walking was too fucking difficult.
Right.
You
Yes.
know.
Yeah. I would even challenge you and say doing that extra neat activity is going to burn more calories, and the probability of me having to lower your food is less.
Yeah. Exactly. And
So,
that's what. This is what exactly. We can talk about that for a minute, right? It's like, oh, cool. My cardio went up, my food went down, so now I'm gonna rest more and do less shit.
right.
All right, cool. We just got rid of that expense. The reason we did that is now null and void because you stopped moving.
Yes.
So
Yes.
now we're gonna do that again.
Yep. Yep.
And people wonder why they get starved on a prep. It's like, well, your coach thought nothing was changing because you decided to just be lazy
Mhm. Yep.
because everything else should be pretty much standardized.
Yes. Yep. Oh yeah. I've seen guys even be so bad like where they go from like walking machine to machine to just like staying in an area and sitting down between sets.
Yeah,
I'm like, you know how less calories you just burn in that workout? Well, Chris, I thought you said that the training session was to maintain strength and size. Yeah, but I didn't think you'd be a lazy slob. Like, move. Like,
yeah,
I'm sure you're like me. Like, when your carbs tend to get lower, and lower is compared to what we're used to eating, you piss a ton more. Without walking to the bathroom, walking back, like all of that burns calories, and those small steps add up, right? Like,
yeah,
you can go from minimalist of most people, I would think normal daily living might take 3,000 steps to
yeah,
not even trying in your 10,000 just because you weren't lazy. Hey, I took my dog for a walk in the morning, I took one in the afternoon, and then right before bed. Like,
yeah.
awesome. That's a quick 5-10 minute walk, not hard, not stressful. You got some sunlight. All that's positive. Where I
Yeah.
think so many people are like, oh man, I got to be flat on my back with my feet propped up. Well, yeah, when it's time to rest or sleep, but don't forget about the rest of the day.
Yeah. Well, it's always funny to me. It's like the people who have the highest cardio, they're bragging about they're like, oh, I did 2 hours of cardio for the last 4 weeks of prep. It's like, yeah, that's because you sat on your ass the rest of the day. Like,
Yep.
if you're doing things and you have, let's say, 10,000 steps a day average, and you keep it there,
Yeah.
I bet you wouldn't need to go in that 2 hour cardio zone,
Nope.
unless you're a complete ball of lard. But
Yeah.
in reality, that's what usually kills people is they're like, oh, cool. My total step count for today is 1,800.
Mhm.
And then my 2 hours of cardio bumps that up to, 10,000.
Yep.
Cool. It's like, why wouldn't you just do 10,000 steps and then 30 minutes of cardio?
I'll tell you a sick game that I always play with myself when shit starts getting hard is I'll
Yeah.
park at the end of the parking lot everywhere I go.
We do the same shit, dude.
That's how we get along.
Yeah. As soon as like I feel like things get difficult in prep, I'll park as far away as I can. Shit,
Yep.
I'll walk for 5 minutes to get to the gym door.
Mhm. Yep. because in my mind, right, it's like similar, like you know that feeling when you start to go hypo on the treadmill or bike,
Yeah,
and I'm like, oh fuck, this is where the real
yeah,
fat burning begins. This is where someone's gonna jump off and go eat some carbs, right? Yeah,
yeah,
fuck that. I'm gonna find a way to get through this. Where I think now we live in this such like protected society where everyone's a delicate angel in bodybuilding. And like, oh, Chris, you went hypo. Like, you need to get carbs. You need to eat. You need to get off there.
yeah.
Well, everyone else can do that. I'll find
Oh,
a
dude. I had a client and he went hypo during cardio.
Mhm.
And he's like, I went hypo. So I went to the gym convenience there. You know, the gym Shake Shack.
Yeah.
And he had two Gatorades and a muffin because he was hypo. And I was like, were
Hmm.
you using insulin and not telling me?
Right.
Like, you are aware your body's not retarded, right?
Right.
Like, you can sit down, probably eat a piece of gum,
Right. Yep.
and you're not going to be hypo. Your body's not broken.
Right.
Like, yes, if you're taking exogenous insulin, which you probably shouldn't be doing for fasted cardio,
Mhm.
some occasions, I mean, like, you're different tangent.
Yes. Yeah.
But, um, but like, your body's not just going to be like, oh shit, we're going hypo, we're going to die.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, it's like, if that happens again, how about this? Let's bring your meal with you to the gym
Yep.
so that if it does happen, sit down and then go have your fucking first meal. So you're not driving home a fucking mess.
Agreed.
But you won't die from that.
No.
The chances you're not diabetic for one. You're not using exogenous insulin. Your body's not just going to shut off because it's hungry. You know, you're pretty goddamn hard to kill.
Yes.
And you for sure do not need a 500 calorie spike in food to fix a hypoglycemic thing what your body did itself.
All right. I'm going to share some wisdom with you guys. If you feel that sense of hypo and you start to get scared, have some diet soda. It'll work. I'm telling you. I've done it with hundreds of clients when I used to train them in person at Gold's. And then the most recent one I've had of that is my client Joe, who's a pro. He started having that at the very end when I was pushing the piss out of him. He'd be on the stairs, on the bike. He's like, Chris, I'm going hypo. What do I do? I was like, go to the front of the gym, get a Diet Coke and drink half of it, then get back on it. Guess what he reported? That worked perfect.
Yeah.
Shocking, right? Like, except a little bit of Diet Coke, it's going to take that blood sugar and just give it a little bump, and you'll be good.
Yeah.
So,
Shit, you can even do a scoop of branched chain amino acids.
yes,
Technically, those have calories in it. That
correct.
protein will be metabolized directly into carbohydrates.
Yep. But that's not fun, man. It's much better to eat a muffin or Snickers bar.
What I can't. How many times have I posted on my story? What like my after my post workout meal? Like, and we're talking like pre-contest. We're not even when insulin's not even a concept.
Right.
You know. And I'll have my post workout meal, and then an hour and a half later, I'm at like 55.
Yep.
It's like that one. I'm legitimately sweating bullets. But you know what? I'm not freaking the fuck out. I'm gonna be like, all right, cool. I'm gonna make a meal. Like I'm at my fucking house. You know what I mean? Like I'm
Mhm.
gonna make the meal I'm supposed to eat, and I'm gonna eat that. And guess what? It's gonna fix it.
Yes.
Even if I've had times where that meal happens to be 8 ounces of chicken,
Yep.
and that's it. And
Mhm.
guess what? I'm not hypo anymore
Right.
because it's blood sugar does not mean that you just need carbohydrates either. That can be fixed with proteins or fats. Like all of the hypoglycemic things we're talking about is for non-diabetic people.
Yes.
We have a functioning pancreas, but we also have our body has the ability to break down fat as energy, right? That's our own body fat.
Mhm.
Where do you think what that's a great time for that to happen? It's like, hey, we don't have any sugar for our bloodstream. It's like, well, let's get some from your stored fucking fat. That's what's happening there. It's just not good. It's just doing it too slow,
So what's
you know?
interesting is you and I both experienced that almost simultaneously with our post lift meal last
Yeah.
year. You remember that?
Yeah.
And you were like, Chris, I don't understand. Like, you're like, you definitely have a lot of carbs in here. I'm like, add some fat to it and see what happens. And then
Yeah.
literally the next day, the same shit happened to me. And I was like, fuck, this is what he felt. I'm gonna add some fats, done, fine. Nothing
Yeah.
happened. You had the same symptoms that I did. Cold sweat, things are starting to close in a little bit.
Yeah.
Heart rate starts to elevate. Don't panic. It didn't mean we need to go eat a box of donuts.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we just need some fat to slow that meal down a bit. Awesome. And then it worked.
Yeah.
But that goes back to, okay, let me say this. Because you and I are experiencing this and we know our bodies, it's a little bit easier to just take a
Yeah.
deep breath and be like, we're not going to die. Yes, this feels horrible, but it'll pass. Where I think sometimes guys who are on the more inexperienced side, they might like panic a little bit. And it's like, no, it's not. Don't freak the fuck out. Like, take a deep breath, relax, breathe into it. Because I mean, listen, I'm not a, I'm trying to see how I can relate this. Like, if you ever had the trend cough, like the more your heart rate gets going and the more your anxiety goes up, it's just gonna make it
Worse
worse.
yet.
You
Mhm.
just gotta breathe. You just gotta chill, relax, cough into it. It's gonna end. It'll be over in 5 to 10 minutes, and you'll never think about it until it happens again.
Yeah.
Same shit.
Exactly. Also,
Oh,
this applies for after a really hard set.
yeah. Yes. Yes.
If you do a
Agreed.
crazy hard set of squats and your heart rate's elevated, your body's starting to freak the fuck out.
Mhm.
Learning how to calm yourself down is probably the most underrated thing in bodybuilding.
Yes, agreed.
Because we got to take because in the course of the day, right, we got to go to both extremes.
Yep.
We got to be to hyper, you know, focused on something to bringing all that stress down and recovery.
Oh yeah.
If you don't bring that stress down and recover, you're not going to change because your body's still fucking getting that stress down is its first priority. So if you leave that elevated, you're not going to have as good of outcomes.
Yes. Yep.
And I mean, that can lead to issues downstream later. But if you can learn how to take that stress and be like, cool, just deal with it instead of just leaving it up high, you can manage that stress. You can body build better.
That literally happened to me today. I was telling you that I put two more plates aside on the leg press today. It felt
Yeah.
good. But like I got to like rep 12, and it was one of those things where in my mind, like I had more weight on there than I anticipated getting, but I knew I probably had eight left.
Uh
So I
huh.
did eight more. And then knowing after that set I had to back off when everything in my body was like screaming at me. It's like you said, you gotta get up, pull those plates, relax into it, and know that in 2 to 3, 4 minutes, I have to regain my composure and do exactly what I did with lighter weight and go to that same level of exertion, and I'll be okay. And then after that, I still gotta finish the rest of my workout. Like, I always wonder if that's why people truly pace themselves in a training session and always leave stuff in the tank because they're like, oh, well, I have three things left, or I have two things left, or I have one, or man, this is the start of my workout. Like, I'm not going to go empty my tank. And I'm like, why not? Like, red line and then back off, red line and then back off. Like, that's all we're doing. And then we go
Yeah.
warm up and we allow our body to cool down a little bit. Like, I think that's what a lot of people don't understand is like when you're transitioning from, say, a leg press to a hack squat, by the time you unload plates and load them onto the other machine, do a couple fill sets, you should be well good again.
Yeah.
And if not, it's time to do some cardio.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like, if you and I were a training session together, like by the time I do my top set, you do yours, we pull plates, I, I should be almost recovered. Like
Yeah.
there's probably a 2 to 3, 4 minute gap in time there, all said and done. Once we both take a drink of our intra and pull plates and then regain composure and then decide what we're going to do for the intensity and then if you're transitioning exercise, like, okay, cool. Now we got to pull what 4 or 5 plates aside, load 2 or 3 plates aside on the hack squat, do a fill set, do another fill set, and then we're working again. Like that's a lot of time elapse. And I think people don't understand, like you said, they get so much in their head where it's just like, take a deep breath, bro. We have 4 hard sets left. Like I'm sure
Yeah.
that's the way you are, or I know that's the way I am. If I know at the beginning I have eight, knock two of them out and down to six, knock four of them out, I'm halfway, six down, two left. That's fucking cake, man. One left, nothing to lose.
Yeah.
And then it's over. But again, you and I don't do 45 sets for a back day.
Yeah.
So,
This is true.
which is why I think you and I lean towards the style of training that we do because it's like, got to step on the gas 8 to 10 times, maybe 12.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. And then a pump day is different. That's a whole different mindset. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, now instead of redlining everywhere, I want to think about taking that red line and make it my muscles get a pump. How
Yeah.
fast can we do that and keep it there? And then when the pump goes away, we move on.
Yep.
So somehow we always segue back to training, right?
We usually do.
Yeah. We always like throw some shade with nutrition, but yeah, I mean, so at the end of the day, to wrap this conversation up, right? If you're out there and people are just being nasty to you in the comments, you have one or two options, right? This is like respond and realize they're going to just continue to be shitty. Like in the grand scheme of life, I don't think I've ever come to a resolution with someone who's just being an asshole. It's always
Yeah.
like you're a jacked up, roided out meathead, and I'm like, okay, awesome, you're teeny, pathetic, and weak at victim weight. What do we solve there?
Yeah.
Zero. At the end of the day, like you're going to go about your life and I'm going to go about mine and we'll never think about it again
Yep.
after that singular moment. Like, so did we waste our time? The answer is yes. Because if I had taken that same effort and energy and applied it to, say, making a story about how to make my lats pop out better on a front double bicep, I'd have helped at least 100 people.
Yeah.
Maybe, or even if I just helped one, like that's way
Dude,
better.
that's the most rewarding thing on the planet when someone comes up to you like, by the way, this helps me. It's like,
Yes.
but I did
Agreed.
my fucking job.
Yep. That that honestly is the high that I chase with coaching.
Yeah.
You changed or fixed this. You
Yeah.
taught me how to do this. I never thought I would be capable of fill in the blank. That's why what we do for a living is so amazing, right? Like,
Yeah.
I've been fortunate enough. I think I've helped at this point in my life, like over 20 people lose over 100 pounds.
Yeah.
And if you had asked me when I started personal training or coaching, like, would I have say wanted to work with that population group? I'd have probably said hell no. But I've changed those people's life, and that's super cool, right? Like
Yeah.
for that moment in time, we saw eye to eye, and their bodies just melted fat, and God knows how many years we added to their life.
Yeah.
Like I think
And the
everyone,
quality of their life, right?
yeah, yes, oh God, yeah, 100%. Because as I will say till I'm blue in the face, like what we do with nutrition training and cardio is such a transferable skill.
Yeah.
It's the ability to sacrifice now for a prize later, and later could be a year, 2 years, a decade.
Yeah.
The,
Exactly.
the ability to say no in uncomfortable situations where you may feel like an outcast, that goes a long
But
way.
at the end of you're saying no for a yes down the road.
Mm, yep.
That's all you're doing. It's a trade-off.
Yes.
And
You know,
when you say yes, you're doing the same thing, but you're getting a no later down the road.
yep.
It's
Agreed.
that's how life works. Every single decision you have in life is going to have a yes and a no with it,
Yep.
whether you like it or not. It's how it works.
And I swear to God, like that gives people more confidence than anything because they
Yeah.
took control of their life. And then suddenly,
Yeah.
guess what? They start to perform better at work. They perform better for their family at home. They're like, man, I have confidence about myself. Like I have strong willpower. And everyone, I want to believe that everyone has that in them. I just have to find that key to unlock it. And it may
Yeah.
take 40 fucking keys,
Yeah.
but one thing may change it and like, oh, done, that's it. For that person, I don't know what it was that day, that set, that comment, that message, the email, the look I gave someone, like that could change. And it could be on something that I don't even deem remotely beneficial, right?
Yeah.
And I always tell people this, like the amount of times that John was teaching me that he wasn't teaching me was countless, right?
Yeah. Just
Just
the actions.
just observing him in reality in space on the internet, how he handled himself, how he carried himself with his family, his clients. If we saw a young kid in the gym, like that asked for help, that was all a learning moment. And if we can pass that on to the next group of men, women who want to be in the coaching world, in the lifting space, and then or just maybe to their family and kids, like, dear God, man, like that's what life's about to me. I'm never going to win the Olympia, but damn it, I may coach someone who does.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and it will always go back to me. It's like, oh, Chris, like Why do you could do competitive bodybuilding if you don't think you can be Mr. Olympia? Well, that's not why I started lifting.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of this newer generation doesn't understand that. Like they all want to compete to be like Chris Bumstead and be multiple Olympia winners. And I'm like, man, that if that was my goal, I would have quit a long time ago.
Yeah, I found bodybuilding because it was painful and difficult.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
That's why I got into this.
Mhm.
Like,
Yep.
and
Yep.
that's why I keep getting asked for this.
Mhm. You
You
know,
know,
yeah.
and that is gonna be like honestly, to be a dick,
Mhm.
I have such an advantage over the kids who do this because they want to have Instagram famousness.
Right.
Like I do this because it was harder and more difficult than last time. Good fucking luck. Like you might good luck.
Yep. You know, I said this before to one of my clients, and they're like, Chris, I don't get it. Like, I have big goals, whatever. I'm like, let me ask you a question. Let's say there's 50 male bodybuilders at a regional show. And he's like, yeah. I was like, how many of those have the goal to win this show at the overall? 90% of them? Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you all have the same goal. One person's going to do it. Okay. So of that, what does it come down to? It doesn't come down to making that goal because it's easy for you and I to sit here and say, the next show we do, we're going to win the overall. What about if we took all that effort and energy and applied it to the systems that get us to that goal?
Yeah.
Because to me, at the
Well,
end of the day, for success, it's the person with the best systems, not the best goals.
yeah, it's never well exactly. How many people sign up to run a fucking race?
Mhm. Yep.
Everybody's fucking goal is to win that fucking race
Yep.
or finish the race.
Yes.
But they
Yep.
all fall to where they fall to the level of the systems they're at, right?
Yep.
If they are running a distance, right, it's like they're gonna fall to like what was the hardest race you've ran? You know, the guy if they're running a 10-mile race, the guy who's consistently running 15-mile races, that's fucking easy.
Yep.
You know, versus if you only train for 5-mile races, that 10-mile race is gonna suck. It's gonna suck so fucking bad. You know
Yep.
what I mean? But the
Yep.
guy who's, he's used to running 15s, he's like, fuck, dude. He's like, that was easy,
Yep.
versus the guy who's only, that guy woke up that day and decided he was going to run that race. Like he's left to whatever he has in his head,
Yes.
you know, and all like exactly the levels of the systems you have in place, right? Like I think we talked about this on the last podcast. I've been meal prepping for 11 years. You longer than that. Like
Yep.
that's never something that was difficult to me. That's like brushing my teeth,
Correct.
versus someone, if it's your first show, it's like you've never meal prepped before. Where are you going to fall there? When that gets difficult.
Yeah. Well, like, oh God, Chris, I had to travel with 2 weeks out for work. I don't care. What do you mean?
Yeah.
We've all done that.
Yeah. Exactly.
We've done it multiple
Dude, I just
times.
went on a vacation just 2 days ago. It's like, did I miss any cardio? Did I miss any food? You know,
You
wasn't
know,
even a thought of like, like,
like occasionally I'll get a question like where I'll go to the beach with my family every year and someone's like, oh man, like I saw you were training and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, why not? It's a great gym. I can live like a bodybuilder for a whole week. But especially when I was at Gold's, right, where I didn't do online coaching, it was like a bodybuilder's dream for me because it was like, ooh, I get to wake up, I get to do my fasted cardio, I get to eat 2 meals, I go train, I come back, I'll play on the beach all day, play with the kids, hang out with Angela, eat my meals, go to sleep. I'm like, I don't have
yeah,
to train people 10 or 12 hours a day. This
yeah,
is amazing. My workouts can be so focused because I could be in the gym 2 hours if I wanted to be. I
yeah,
wasn't, but I could be. Like,
yeah,
I have nothing that's saying, oh, Chris, you got to train somebody at 2 o'clock. Like, you got to wrap up. You got to get the sweat off you. You got to get into your work clothes again. Like, had none of that mess. So they're
yeah,
like, how you do that? I'm like, why? I get to live like a bodybuilder for a week. This is awesome.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, exactly.
because to me, it's like going back to what we said, like, I don't compete to win Olympias. I compete because I love bodybuilding. And that's simply a report card time. Am I better than last time? Yes, cool. Get back
Yeah.
to work. Awesome. Next. Fix
Right.
this.
It and you pushed yourself.
Right. Yeah.
Like that's like the fun. Like honestly, like after for me, preps are more of a they're all mental battles, right?
Yes.
And it's kind of like an extended period of what is that called? Meditation.
Yeah.
Because in all reality, like for prep, my training's going to stay the same.
Yep.
My job isn't going to change much,
No.
but we get to see what happens when we remove food
Yes.
to a degree,
Yeah.
right? I'm never actually fucking starving, very far away from starving.
Yeah.
But we get to see what happens when I get to run lower on gas.
Yes. Yep.
And we get to see what my brain says when it's like, hey, we're empty. It thinks,
Yes.
and it's up to me to decide where I want to go with that.
Yep.
Do I want to win? Do I want my brain to win or my body to win? And it's always really funny because it's like drives me up a like everybody who's like, oh, it got weaker on practice. Like, well, you chose to, you
Right.
know, like you picked the dumbbells.
Yep.
Your muscle doesn't just leave. Like we've done actually, if you want to research studies on muscle loss in a deficit, right? We have them,
Right.
even in severe cases without androgens,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and it's just a matter. It's like you're just playing with your mental fortitude there.
Yep.
Like, cool. Today I get to lift 150-pound dumbbells, and instead of my normal 3 cups of rice, I get 1.5.
Right.
Cool.
Yep.
Let's see if I can do it. Like, let's see if I can fucking beat what I've done before.
Yep. I don't know how you are. I know I'm this way. Chad actually caught it on camera in 2019. My final chest workout of prep, that wasn't the fluff shit. So I test
Yeah.
technically it was what 10 days out. I did 315 on incline for 10. And he got it on camera and I rack it and I like fucking celebrate. And he was like, what was that about? And I was like, I lost 0 strength that whole prep.
Yeah.
And he's like, fuck, it's pretty cool. I'm like, yeah, it was here.
Yeah.
Like, I really believe this. If you do bodybuilding long enough, you can will yourself into not removing weight or reps.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it won't be harder or take longer to recover or dig a bigger ditch, but if you set up your training and nutrition and food right, and you're intelligent with how you lift,
Yeah.
you can actually grow into your prep and be stronger. That's what we've done every time with you. And I know people think I have some magic pill, and it's not. It's here. It's
Yeah.
refuse. I tell people this, and I don't think they grasp it. Refuse to take weight off the bar or in your hands. What do you mean, Chris? It's heavy. No shit. We have
Yeah.
no longer have fluid around our joints. You're bone dry and all the fat's gone. Yeah, I know it's harder. It sucks. Deal with it.
Yeah.
Like,
It's uncomfortable.
you may have to take an extra 30 seconds to a minute to wrap your hand around it. Like, I remember before that set, that front room that Dwayne has where the incline barbell is. I put my straps on and I was like, fuck. Like, okay, 275 feel heavy. I don't give a fuck. We're going to do 315. And Chad's like, you ready? I'm like, no, 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 I need another minute. So I walk back to that back room, get chalk on my hands. From the time I put chalk on my hands and I'm walking back in there, like I'm getting angry at that shit. I'm like, you are not beating me. Not today,
Yep.
not tomorrow. You have to get this done. Complete the task. And strap the straps on, cinch the belt in, camera on, go. And it just happened. You go into another world. And yes, it's hard. I mean, you figure a set of 10 on incline barbell, what might take 30 seconds? Maybe
Yeah.
25 to 30. Fuck off. If I can't do that in one whole day, I'm in the wrong fucking sport. I do not need to be an example for people to follow. And when you frame it like that, right? Like, I really think that people would just run away from that positive pressure. Like they're scared of that. And I'm like, fuck no, bring that on, man. Like, welcome it.
Yeah.
It feels good to be uncomfortable. It's like when we destroy ourselves in the gym, I get in the car and I'm like, fuck yeah. Like, job well done. Rest, repeat, do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's an off day. Rest perfect. Set it up for another good day on Thursday or Friday or Saturday.
Yeah.
Like,
Dude, I remember when we were training with Brad, we were in bosses, and we would murder each other for legs.
right.
And we'd get done, we'd both be fucked up, and we'd both be laughing. We'd be like, what the fuck did we do? And we're like, that was a fucking great day.
Mhm.
Like, those were the workouts from driving home, having like my leg, like I would literally have to pull over and throw up on the side of the freeway.
Right.
And like the entire time I'm just fucking smiling
Mhm. Yep.
because I knew I got better,
Yes.
you
Yep.
know? And like I still do that with Zach to nowadays.
Mhm.
Like there's been actually I've had times I go home and I'm like after like create like yeah, we did that 100 reps on leg press with like that one rest pause set.
Yep.
Uh and I got home from that, like first off, we got done at the gym and we both sat down on the bench at the front of the gym for like 20 minutes. And we didn't say a word to each other because both of us were in shock, like actual physical shock.
Right. Yep.
And then we drove home, and I remember making my post workout meal. I opened up a kitchen cupboard and legitimately just fell on the floor because my leg just gave out.
Yep.
And I'm just laying there, and I was like, "Fuck yeah!" Like I've never been here before. Let's see
Right.
what fucking happens.
Yep.
Because at that point, all I have to do is recover from it. I don't have to do it. I've the work's fucking done. Like
Right.
I'm gonna eat my meal. I'm gonna fucking sleep.
Mhm.
I'm probably gonna take an ice bath because I'm fucked.
Yes.
But my job's done from that workout.
Right.
Was it overkill? Probably.
Right.
Did I learn something from it? Definitely.
Right. Yeah. I to this
And
day,
by the way, that we did we when we filmed it, it took 10 minutes to complete that.
yeah,
Yeah, so that was 10 minutes of pressing 7 plates per side.
I still to this day remember doing that with John,
Yeah,
and him and I get in the car afterwards, and him be like, "How many people think would do that?" And I'm like, "Not very many,"
yeah,
because I can't remember how long it took us. I was gonna say if you would have asked me to remember, I'd have probably said 8.5 to 10 minutes,
yeah,
and I'm sure you remember it. It's like it just feels like it feels like it's never gonna end.
yeah,
And even though you're doing reps and you know you're getting closer to 100, it's like, am I really getting close? Because it still seems like so far away. And then if my memory is right with your set, there was that like your second to last set was okay, and then you got mad at it and just crushed the last reps.
yeah,
I'm pretty sure I'm right about that. Like,
yeah, yeah.
and
Well,
that,
it was
and that
funny because I got back. I was like, that last rep didn't count, so I
yeah,
didn't
that's right.
forget.
Yes. And there's a reason I've only given that to two people, and you're one of them. Because the mental fortitude that takes, you have to have something wrong with you in the head.
Yeah,
You just do. Like, you can't be sane and have fear and do that. I mean, you can with 3 plates, maybe, but not 7 or 8.
yeah, yeah,
Like, because the task seems too insurmountable and your legs are so fucked up, like, because it's so much blood and so many reps. And it isn't like if I were to do that and say you and I were to trade sets, I think that would actually feel easier. Like let's say you did 20, then I do 20, and then you do 25 and I do 25, like, or however the rep dichotomy would end there. I almost feel like that would be easier, but when you're in that seat and you know you can't get up until 100's over, it's something that kind of fucks with your head a little bit. Because
yeah,
like I remember John just like looking down at me and he's like, "You're not getting out of here until it's done." And I'm like, okay. I don't care if I have to do singles from 50 on. It didn't work out
yeah,
that way. But if I did, that's what I would have done.
yeah.
Um, God, yeah, that makes me want to do that set again.
I
Um,
know.
Notice we call it a set. All right, for everyone out there, I was talking through this real fast. It's 7 plates on a leg press, 7 plates per side. These new kids like to say 7 plates total. No, 7 plates per side, and you have to do 100 reps. That's it.
Yep.
And as
And
few
if you're like
sets as
me,
possible.
you did it as a back off set.
I forgot about
So
that.
I got 12 plates per side for a top set, but I got 9 with.
Yeah. Yeah.
So 7 plates was a back off.
Yes. Yeah. So if you want to try it out there, I will tell you that's what it is. So you have to stay in the leg press and you just get it with as few sets as possible.
Yep.
It's miserable.
Yeah.
From like, I don't know, what would you say, 40 on? 40 on, it's
Yeah.
pretty
The first set I think I got 53.
okay. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And then I got 15, 10, then fives.
Yes. Yep. For me, I remember thinking like every time I unracked it, it felt like he put a plate on. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
like each time you pick it up, so to speak, like you undo the safeties, like it's like, is there more weight on there? So, that's what we're going to leave you guys with. If
Yep.
you do that, will you please comment below that you completed it and how you know, let me know how it goes. And these little partial reps don't count. It's got to be a decent leg press. I'm not saying you have to like eat your kneecaps, but it needs to be low.
Yeah,
A good leg press. So 100 reps, 7 plates. Can you do it? That's it. Chris, little Dave, we are done for
that's
another
it.
good episode.
Feel free to tag us, and I would love to watch.
Please, yes. It's a challenge to anyone out there, any of our listeners. 100 reps, 7 plates, 7 plates per side of a leg press. It can be any. It can be the Cybex. It can be Body Master. It can be a hammer strength, Life Fitness. We don't care. Any of it's going to be miserable. Thanks, guys. See ya.
Have a good